Okay, so our first section we're going to take a look at in our book, section 1.1, and it's on solving very basic equations, okay, either using addition or subtraction. All right, so our first property, and Mr. Wright, they're just watching this, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm not writing this stuff down, guys. This first page is nothing for you guys to write down.
Okay, this is something we're allowed to do whenever we want to solve equations. You are allowed to take a number and add it to both sides. Right? And when you do that, you get what's called an equivalent equation. So if you look through your book, you'll see that word in there. But the important idea is that you know you can add the same number to both sides of an equation. Okay, I'm just going to show you an example. All right, let's take this equation and let's add 3 on both sides. Can anyone tell me what I would get on the left if I add 3? There's an x there now, and I'm going to add 3 to it. Yep, Bay?
3x.
Careful, not multiply by 3. Add 3.
3 plus x.
Yep, 3 plus x, or x plus 3. And what if you add 3 on the right?
9.
Yeah, you get 9. Now, I want to show you guys that these two equations in the boxes, they're exactly the same thing, okay? Because they added the same number to both sides. Okay? This top equation, it's actually very simple. What's the answer to it? It says x equals what? 6. Okay? What's the answer to this bottom equation? What plus 3 gives you 9? 6. Does everyone see both these equations have the same answer? Because they have the same answer, they're basically the same equation. They're called equivalent equations. Okay? But the important thing is you remember to add the same number to both sides. You always got to keep everything balanced. Right? If you do it to one side, you got to do it to the other side. Okay? Keep everything balanced. All right, so when we solve an equation, and this is something you guys want to write down.
Right above the black line, that top black line, guys, you'll see the solve an equation means right on the top.
Okay, so we've seen different kind of directions. Okay, evaluate, simplify. This is a new one. Okay, solve. Okay, solve basically means to find the solution. Okay, find the answer. For now, all the problems we solve are just going to have one answer. Okay, when we get later on, we might have problems that have 2 answers. Okay, but we don't have to worry about that yet. Okay, so when we're solving an equation, okay, the goal, get the variable alone on one side. For that part, nope, I don't think.
No,
to write that down.
like that is what's highlighted, guys. That's it.
So when you finish a problem, it should look something like this. X equals 6. That should be the very last step. Letter by itself on one side, number on the other side. Okay, does anybody know what we call it once we get an answer and we want to see if it works? Does anybody know what that's called? Yep, Josh?
Check the answer.
Yeah, very good. It's called checking. Okay, we're not going to check every problem we do, but we are going to at first check a couple, just to see. And that's what it's called. What Josh just said. Okay, checking your solution is seeing if you got the right answer.
And guys, on the test on Friday, if you want to check it to see if it's right, you can. You don't have to. All right? We're not going to require you guys. You're not going to lose any point. And I know some math teachers, like maybe in middle school, are like, you don't check your work, then we're not going to give you any points. Well, you don't have to check it. If you want to check it, that's fine. You're not required to. All right? What did we talk about? Because now we're going to have an answer, right? We'll have an answer. Let's say x equals 2. All right, say our answer is x equals 2. What do we have to do to check it? Who can tell me? Josh.
Plug the 2 into the x.
plug the 2 in for the x. So I'm taking a letter that I solved for and plugging it in, all right? No, sorry, I'm taking the number that I solved for and plugging it in for that letter. Anybody remember last week what we called that? What were the directions for doing that? Anybody remember kind of a little review? Remember we did like simplify, we did things like that. What were the directions when you said like x equals 3? And then you had, you know, x plus 5 equals something. Josh? Evaluate, right? So that's what we're doing here. We're evaluating. And like I said, you're not going to have to do it for every single one, so don't panic. If it's true, if you get the same number when you plug it in, you get the same number on one side of the equal sign, the same number on the other side, you got it right.
What do you think it means if you plug it in and you get a different number on the left and on the right of the equal sign? Right, something's wrong. Either you checked it wrong or your answer's wrong, something's wrong. Yeah.
So guys, just some steps up here, all right? Again, some of this stuff is probably review for you guys, right? I'm hoping people have seen this before. Yes? Guys, have you seen some of this stuff before? Okay, good. Not making me nervous there for a second. So the first, these are just basic one-step equations. So when we're adding and subtracting, these are one step. First thing we want to do, so on your notes, you got the bullet, right? We want to find the variable, or the letter, on one side of the equal sign, right? We want to find whatever the letter, whatever that variable is, we want to locate that, all right? So then next we have a little spot for an example. We're going to write this example down, and as we do each step, we're going to work it out so you guys can see the directions, then you can see how we work it out. So your first step will be find the variable on one side of the equal sign. Your example, as we go through this one, is going to be x minus 12 equals 9. Next thing we want to do, we want to move the number on the same side of the equal sign to the other side. And we're going to do the opposite operation. Right? This will work if it's subtraction, this will work if it's addition. All right? So we go back to that first bullet. We want to find the variable on one side of the equal sign. In this problem, what's the variable? Someone tell me? Anybody? X. X is a variable, right? Good. So I did part one, I figured out what my variable was. Now, I gotta move what's on that side of the equal sign with the X. So what's on that side of the equal sign with the X? Someone tell me. Josh?
Negative 12.
Negative 12. Josh, how did you know it was negative 12? How come it wasn't just 12? To the left of it or to the right of it? Left of it. Remember we talked about this last week. The sign to the left always goes with that number. All right? So I found out what it was. I know what I got to move. What do I have to do with that 12? Ariel, what do I have to do to that 12? It says do the opposite operation. Add what? I want to add 12. Do the same thing on the other side, right? Add 12 to both sides. Very good. Let me see what else makes sense. All right. So then we do our addition of subtraction, which we're going to do right now. Again, we want to get the variable by itself. All right. There's one thing here that doesn't look like. Anytime we do these, there's one thing here that doesn't look like the two others. We always want to get rid of that. Whatever's with that one thing that doesn't look like the two others, we want to get it by itself. The 12s will just cancel out. X equals 9 plus 12. Anyone know? Brett? 21. So X equals 21. Last step. We want to check, right? So like we said, like Josh told us earlier, we're going to evaluate with the number we just solved for. So X equals 21. My equation was X minus 12 equals 9. Now I want to rewrite it and I want to evaluate. Someone tell me, what's that equation gonna read? What will it say? What should I write? What should I write now I'm gonna evaluate? So what would that equation, what would that problem look like? Josh?
21 minus 12.
21 minus 12 equals 9. If people had calculators, if I did 21 minus 12, I would get 9. It would equal 9. That checks. It works. I did it right. And for every problem we do, we don't have to check it. Mr. Hager and I are just showing you guys how that works, to check it, right? Pretty basic equation. Everybody's okay with this stuff? Not too bad? Everyone's feeling okay about this, I hope? Yes? 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 Good. All right, next. So anyone need any more time to write down those steps? Is everybody good? Good. So again, this basic kind of stuff, we're probably going to get into probably Wednesday when we have maybe a number attached to the variable, where it might be like 4x minus 12 equals 9. Because then we'll have two steps. We'll have to add or subtract, then we'll have to multiply or divide. But today, we're just adding and subtracting. It's only one step. Tomorrow, we'll multiply or divide. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we'll get into some multi-step stuff, but nothing too bad. All right, so on your thing, you guys have some space for example 2, all right? Obviously, this one has different numbers, it has different variables, all right? That's a couple of ways that it's different from the first example we just did. What's another way that it's different from the first example that we did?
The
Liam.
numbers on the other side.
Yeah, the equal sign and the numbers at the beginning. I know for some people it's like, whoa, I can't. As soon as they see that, they're like, I can't do this. It's not written the same way. Like, mega freak out. I can't handle this. All right? What I would do is that, well, does anyone know what you might want to do to make it look like the ones you've done before? Huh? What do you think? Si, what do you think you want to do? I'm not saying how to solve it, but to make it a little bit more, make it look like the ones we've done before. Yeah, put the equal sign, take this, and just write it at the end. So what would I write, Si? Because he told me this part, so finish it off for me. I'm sorry.
Y minus 4 equals 3.
Perfect. So y minus 4 equals 3. Someone tell me, those notes that we just took, all the steps we just wrote down, all right? What's the first thing we have to do? What's the first thing those notes tell us to do? Liam?
Add the number on both sides.
Huh?
Add the number on both sides.
Careful, you're getting ahead of yourself. What do the notes say? What's the first step in the notes?
Find the variable.
Find the variable, which is
Y.
y. Good. Y is the variable. Now, Liam, we can do what you want. All right? Because we want to add the number, or we want to do the opposite operation of what's with that variable on that side of the equal sign. So what do you want to do?
Negative 4 plus 4.
I'm going to add 4. Where else am I going to add 4?
3.
What happens to the 4?
Cancels out.
Cancels out. So here's my equal sign. On the left-hand side of the equal sign, what's left? I canceled this. So what's left on this side?
Y.
Just the y. So we're in good shape. We got y by itself. And then we just add 3 plus 4, right? Liam, what do we get? 7. Directions say to check it. Easily, I don't want you to worry about how it's written here. I said y equals 7. So what would my problem look like when I check it? What would I write? Equals 3. 7 minus 4 is what? 3. Yep. You're right. All right, 3 equals 3, we're good. And again, like I said, we're not going to make you check every single one, right? That was a pretty basic one. I think we have one more for this part, right? Or do we have 2 more?
2.
Oh, okay. So now, we're gonna talk about, we just talked about the addition property of inequality. Now we're gonna talk about the subtraction property. So basically, we can subtract the same number from both sides of an equation and get an equivalent equation. So just like we did, just like at the beginning, all right, if I add a number, that's it? Okay. Yeah, so the ones we did before, I'm just gonna go back real quick. The ones we did before, the operation was subtraction, and we had to do addition to make it equivalent. Somebody give me an example, so before we did subtraction, now someone give me an example of an equation that would work for this property. Say we have y, let's start with y. What sign do I want to use? Josh? Addition this time. Again, it's not the sign that's in the actual equation, it's what you're doing to solve it. That's what this is. It's almost like kind of like the opposite thing. So y plus 3 equals 7. That's all we're doing now. So what we did before, we had subtraction and we had to add. Now we have addition and we have to subtract. That's all we're doing. All right? So same kind of thing. One step, the same rules that we wrote down, all that stuff will still work. So again, here's a solve and check. I'm going to let you guys do this one. If you want to mute, I'm going to let you guys do this one on your own real quick. I think you guys are doing okay with this stuff. What do people get? What do people get for answers? X equals 4. Anybody get anything different? So if people disagree with me while I'm doing this, let me know. -6, -6, x equals 4. 10 minus 6 is 4. I'm going to take my 4 and plug it in for x, because now I'm going to check. So I'm going to plug in 4 for x, plus 6 equals 10. 4 plus 6 is 10, equals 10. 10 equals 10. We're good. All right? So this is just the opposite. Instead of doing addition like we did the last time, we're just doing subtraction. People good with this? Okay. So you want to do the word problem? Only one. Just one word problem. No people get nervous when they hear that.
Okay, so sometimes as we go through a word problem, you might see different phrases in it, like less than, more than, increased, decreased. So I just want to see if we remember what this means. For more than a number. How would you write that? In terms of like, would you use addition, subtraction? You'd have a 4 in there, and you might want to think of a variable for number. Yeah, go ahead, Kyle. 4 plus? Yeah, sure. If you let your number be x, you do 4 plus x. Can anybody think of a different way you could write it? Still using the same letter? Yep. X plus 4. Okay, when you're increasing something, right, I used n for number, but either way.
You guys, you don't have to worry about writing this down. Just a little review.
Okay, how about if we have a word problem and it says 16 less than a number? Josh? 16 minus n. Okay. Anybody have any other thoughts, or do we agree with Josh? Yeah? Or n minus 16. So is there a difference between 16 minus n and n minus 16? Okay, it could depend on the number for n. For example, if n was 16, 16 minus 16, and if you switch it, it comes out the same. But what if the numbers are different? Like let's say I had 2 minus 5 and I switch it to 5 minus 2. Are those different answers? Yeah, so this time the order is important. All right, so let's think about if I said to you 16 less than 20. What would be the answer to that? What's 16 less than 20?
16.
20 minus 16. All right, so when you see it, 16, and I used as an example the number 20, okay, we switched it, okay, and then made it 20 minus 16. Is it Aiden? Aiden, yeah. So Aiden did that perfect. What happens is the number that's at the end comes first. Okay, so that's just something tricky you got to remember with subtraction. Okay, when you see less than, you have to switch the order that you see them in the sentence. Okay, how about this one? A number decreased by 16. Okay, and let's just pretend I said 20. How would you write 20 decreased by 16? Yeah, this time, Si, good job. You would just write the order you see it. A number decreased by 16, n minus 16. So this one, I should have had it. No, I had that right. A number decreased by 16. Okay? So both of these are the same, but a little bit different way of writing it. So when you come across word problems, maybe not today, there might be one, I'm not sure, but you're going to see those phrases. Okay? Any questions on that?
Guys, what's in that top one, more than, right? We know that's addition. What's another phrase that might mean addition? That we see, Jen? Increase by is another one, right? What's another word? It might not be more than or greater than or increase by, but there's another word we'll see a lot that tells you have to add. When you add two numbers, right? The answer to an addition problem is the what? The sum, right? So you might also, a lot of times, you might see the sum of two numbers. So if you see sum, you know you have to add.
Okay, any questions on that?
And when it's less than, guys, I always think of less than, it's like the opposite. You take the thing that comes second, move it, put it first, and then subtract. That's the trickiest one. That's a tricky one.
All right, so this one says the price of a shirt was X dollars. Okay. That price has been increased by $7, and now the price is $32. Okay. Write and solve an equation to find the original price. All right. So let's just think about what's happening here. We had, let's see. Price of a shirt was X dollars. We increased it by 7. Okay, what does increased mean? What math operation? Emily? Addition. Okay. All right. So we're taking what the price of the shirt was, and we're increasing it by 7. Okay. Who can tell me how I write that? What the price of the shirt was, increased by 7. Yep, Shannon?
X plus 7.
Good. Okay, so we
Guys,
took,
as Mr. Hager was writing this, I know we skipped. If you put example, I think he said example 4. If you put in the example 3 spot, that's fine. Just in the middle there, you have examples 2, 3, and 4. One of those we're not going to have. So if you're missing one, that's if you put example 4 and example 3 spot, that's fine. All right. The only thing is you have this. If you guys haven't noticed yet, you have this example 5, written on your sheet. So if you're missing one example for that first part, that's okay. But this is written on there.
all right, so the price of the shirt was X dollars. It was increased by 7, and it is now 32. Okay, that's an important word. Okay, I don't know if we've talked about it yet, but is. Does anybody know what is means in math? Yep, Nina?
Isn't it equal?
Yeah, is means equals. Good. Okay? So the price is now how much? Josh? 32. Good. Okay, so that's the hard part. Now we've got our equation. Any questions on setting that up? Okay, now we're going to try to solve it and see if we can figure out the original price. Who can tell me what I have to do on both sides to solve it? Yeah, Liam?
Subtract 7 from both sides.
Good, I like it. Subtract 7 So he did the opposite operation. Okay, we had plus. He undid it with minus. So that's gone. And how about, Vanessa, what's on the left-hand side now? Just x. That was the whole goal, right? Get the letter by itself. And Brett, what about on the right-hand side? What's 32 minus 7? 25. Okay, and what did we just find? That's $25, right? We found the original price of the shirt. So before the shirt was marked up in price, it was 25. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. So Mr. Roy and I have a few practice problems for you guys to try. So we'll
On the back side of your notes from today, you'll see a space where it says 1.1 part 1 more examples.
okay, and don't worry about the homework yet. We'll give you the homework at the end of class, but it's going to be some practice problems. Okay, we already reminded you we'll do the Chromebooks tomorrow, and our first test is going to be this Friday. Okay. All right. So, Mr. Ray, you want me to cover up a couple, or you want me to leave them all up? All right. So we'll keep those 4 up, okay, and see if you can solve those problems. Okay, if you get stuck, just call Mr. Roy or I over, and we'll come help you out. All right, so all 4 of these equations you can solve using one of the properties, basically, we learned today. Okay, either adding or subtracting, and that's it. All right, start with the first one. Anyone think they can tell me what do you have to do to get x by itself there? Yeah, Ashley? Yep, we're going to add 9. And we have to do it on both sides. What happens with negative 9 plus 9? Yeah, that just cancels out. That's the whole idea, because we're trying to get that letter by itself.
Couldn't you do the same thing with subtracting 9?
Well, if you had negative 9 and you subtract 9, would that give you 0?
Oh.
That would give you negative 18. So yeah, in this case, you have to add it. Yep. And now we got one more step we got to do. Yeah, go ahead.
What would happen if we subtracted 31 from both sides? Would it still work, or would it be a different answer?
If you subtracted 31 from both sides, you'd have to do that, right? And now negative 31 minus 31, that's a negative 62 on the right. And then negative 9 minus 31, that would be, it's like negative 40. You would get to that. All right, so it wouldn't help to get x by itself. Does that make sense? All right. All right, so what's on negative 31 plus 9? Josh? 22? All right, anybody else get 22? Yeah, Shannon, did you get the same thing or something different? 22? Yeah? Negative 22. Couple of negative 22? All right, so yeah, because the negative 31, right? Think of that as like you're in debt $31 and you pay someone back 9. Are you still in debt? Yeah, if you owed someone $31 and you only paid them back 9, you're still in debt. You're just less in debt. Okay, on your calculator, the way you type it in, negative 31 plus 9. Okay, negative 22. All right, how many people got negative 22? All right, good. All right, how about number 2? What's a little different about this one compared to number 1? It doesn't change how we solve it, but it's just written a little differently. Yep, Kyle? Yeah, what do you mean turn around? So the equals is in the same spot, right? That's okay. But what do you mean turned around?
Just,
Yeah.
just bring the equal sign and the 13 over 25.
All right, so what's different about it? Somebody tell me, like, compare it to this one. Tell me what's different.
You start off with the number behind, in front of the equal sign.
Yeah. So basically, in this one, the number was on the right. In this one, they put it on the left. That's the only difference. If you want to switch it around right away, you can. How many people like to do it that way? Just switch it around. Some people? Okay. Well, we can switch it around. And Kai, what did you get when you switched it around? Oh, you just did it the way it was? Okay. How about somebody who did switch it? What goes on the left now? Yep, Emily?
X minus 5,
Yep. And what goes on the right?
13.
13. Okay, some people just get used to the letter on the left. If you like it that way, that's fine. And my last step. How about Emma? What did you do to get x by itself now?
Minus 5.
-5?
Well, that.
Or add? You add, yeah. So you're going to add 5 to both sides. -5 plus 5, that's going to cancel out. And I get x equals, is it Marie? Sabrina? Oh, I'm sorry.
18.
18. X equals 18. Okay, any questions on that? All right. Number 3, okay, that's looking like we normally like it. Letters on the left. Okay. What am I going to do this time? Yeah, go ahead, Ashley. Yep, we're going to subtract 11 from both sides because you want this plus 11 to cancel out, so we use a minus 11. And now on the left side, obey left. How about Isolise, what's on the left side? Yep, just x. And somebody else tell me what's 34 minus 11? Yep, me. 23. Okay, any question on that one? Okay, we haven't checked any yet. Let's just check number 3. Someone tell me, how do I check that? What do I have to do? Yeah, Kyle? Yeah, we're going to replace x with 23 and see what we get. Does that work? Is 23 plus 11, does that give me 34? What do you think, Brett? Yeah, that works perfect. 23 plus 11 gives me 34 on each side. It checks, I'm good. All right, last one. So since some people solve it without switching it around, let's just solve it that way. Okay, I don't care. Mr. Roy usually doesn't care. You can put the letter on either side. So leaving it the way it is, how would I solve that? Yeah, Shannon?
Add 5 on both sides.
I'm going to add 5. Add 5. -5 plus 5, that's gone. What's on the left now? Yep, Ashley? 27. And how about Dominic? What's on the right side? What's on the right side here? What's the only thing that's left that didn't cross out? Yeah, the x. Right? That's the only thing that's left. So x, 27 equals x, or if you like it the other way, x equals 27. Okay, any questions on that? You guys still okay with those one-step problems? All right. So don't forget, the homework tonight will be the worksheet on 1.1. Try to make sure you get a binder. Okay, if we can get that for Thursday, that'll be good. And we'll do the Chromebooks tomorrow at 1:40.